So, alright, let me tell you a little bit what I have in mind for these classes. Whenever I'm able to make time for it, and it doesn't really actually take me too long to make these, and I don't have to make these perfect. These are not really like my best drawings right here by any stretch. Although it would be great if I did like a cleaner version of this where I fixed some of the errors in it and stuff. But I sketched this before class in about like 1 or 2 hours or so. This and this. This is actually my drawing down here. This was for a drawing class, a drawing anatomy class I took in 2017. So I have this to kind of compile notes from or whatever, refresh my knowledge of anatomy and whatever. But yeah, this is what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be focusing on the torso. And then Wednesday, we are also going to be focusing on the torso. Friday. This next Friday, we're also going to be focusing on the torso. We might also still focus on the torso next week, but I might probably bring some more of the arms in, or we might focus on certain troubling areas, like, for example, like the deltoid right here and the muscle area, the shoulder, and so on, and like the actual more specifics of the muscle groups and so on. We might get into that next week or Friday. If we do like a second torso week or something, it might be worth it to focus on torsos for like 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks for that matter. But yeah, today is going to be focused on the torso, and I'm going to give you some drawing tools that we're going to be using this evening to mainly focus on for this. So first, I'm going to save a backup of this to make sure it doesn't fuck up on me or corrupt on me or something. And then I'm going to explain what we're doing, and then we're going to get into some warm-ups. Let's see, what time is it? 5:40. I'll just give like a brief explanation, then we'll get into some warm-ups, and then I'll do like some demos and stuff. But yeah, we're going to be going back to this thing I've used before in my classes here called the bean, the bean or the lima bean and the proco bean or whatever. Where you use like these simple kind of circular forms that you connect with like fleshy masses to like simplify the forms of the basic forms of the torso. And you can see here on this page I'm illustrating the active and inactive sides of the torso. And I'm also using a flour sack. This is a figure drawing for animators class, so I'm trying to bend stuff in the direction of animators. So these are, I've given an example here of a flour sack character, which is often used in animation for like either beginning animators or even advanced animators who want to kind of loosen up a bit without worrying about a character design. They'll often use like a flour sack or something, which is anthropomorphic flour sack that really like simplifies their approach to character design. So we may actually be using the flour sack a little bit tonight too. What we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be doing a mix of timed figure posing and draw over of poses, and a little bit of figure invention here and there, kind of see how we can twist and turn the torso in different directions. We're going to mainly focus on the torso. We're going to mainly focus on the bean form and the principle of the active versus inactive side. I would have made one more of these slides for like the bow and arrow thing we went over last week, but maybe I can do that next. Maybe I can do that this Friday. Yeah, the basic forms of the torso, I did like kind of a little draw over my thing. This is just kind of show the red stuff right there. That's also the sides of the fleshy mass of the torso stuff. And this isn't like perfect anatomy. This is just like a general idea. When I make into some more of these slides, I actually want to include stuff like George Bridgman drawings. Let me see, Bridgman torso. Bridgman torso. I might want to include George Bridgman drawings. Maybe I do some studies of them or something. Modern Day James actually has a really good video on that, by the way. I actually may study it as a refresher for next week. But here's some of like George Bridgman's drawings of the torso. These, of course, are public domain images and stuff, so it's like I can insert them in my little things here and do drawovers of them and stuff just fine. But yeah, like I'm planning on publishing these later, both on my like in high quality images on my Patreon, but also I'm planning on like putting them on like a blog or Twitter or something. But yeah, like the simple kind of chunky chunks of chicken forms of the torso that Bridgman breaks the torso up into is what I definitely want to pull away from when I do like some Bridgman studies or bring some Bridgman reference in here. We may actually go over that a little bit here. Yeah, look at that. These little Bridgman drawings right here. He's using cubic forms of the body and stuff. We're gonna be using a little bit of the cubic forms too, as you can see on this page. So basically today there's going to be two methods by which we approach the torso, which is the bean form and the double or triple box form. Triple box form, and that is if you add a head. There's also another version of this where you make this into one big long bendy cube, but and I may do a little bit of that today, but I didn't make a slide for it. So let's maybe get started a bit. I'm gonna maybe take a low quality version of one of these images both of these real quick, to post in Discord chat so you guys can refer to them. So I'll take a quick screenshot of this. Slide 1. And I'll take another one of this. And then we'll get started with some warm-ups. So these slides aren't particularly descriptive. They're like almost kind of a rough draft of what I would want to do for like a publishable thing. I may actually clean them up before I publish them too, but they're working enough for me to kind of illustrate the point that I'm making in the class. So I'm going to post both of these in classroom chat. That's over here on our Discord, so you can refer to them. Stuff. So we'll get started now. One thing I'm going to recommend people try out tonight is kind of what I'm doing here, where I'm using a gray tone background. It's almost like I have a gray tone piece of newsprint. What I'm going to be doing tonight is I'm going to be, in addition to how I'm going to be drawing this evening, I'm going to be, like, either during the break or during the drawing if I have some more time, I'm going to be filling in the drawings a little bit. Maybe deciding what side has shadow on it or something, like throwing like a 50% black on the side that I think it has shadow for like some kind of toon shading sort of thing. Like that. The reason I'm suggesting people do this is, I mean, like, don't do it if it's going to take time away from your drawing. Like, do it during your break if you're going to fill in like that, maybe. But the reason I'm suggesting people do it is because it's a way to kind of break you out of your rut if you're kind of jaded to drawing like just the same kind of black and white study sketches over and over again. And it's a way to kind of like start, for me, it's kind of helping me sort of like see things in terms of masses a little bit more, and pushing me to think beyond just like making like sketch study drawings. Like I'm starting to think more in terms of like finished pieces and whatever. Just throwing some limbs on there. So we're going to get started on some figure poses. I actually put some on screen, so if you've already gotten started, that's great. I'm going to set a timer in a little bit, and I'll get started and join in with you. I think were they 3-minute or 2-minute poses that I put up there? We'll find out very short. Well, oh yeah, they're 2-minute poses. Yeah, I didn't start the clock, did I? So I'm going to actually set these to... I've been using like 3-minute poses lately, but for this session, I'm going to be... using 2-minute poses because That will be more conducive towards just focusing on the torso. And just like these simple forms of the torso. I'm just doing a little quick invented pose, real quick. Invented kind of cartoon character pose with simple limbs. This is kind of showing off like a little bit of like, you can start with like a bean and then you can invent limbs that kind of come off the body stuff to create a pose or whatever you want. I'll maybe put that to the side of my pose here. So we got this torso that's on screen right now. Let me give you an example of what we need to be doing this evening. Like, start with a line of action. You kind of guesstimate about where the first bean of like the rib cage form is, something like this. Notice I'm making kind of like an egg shape. You can use a circular shape, but I'm choosing to use something that's closer to the actual anatomical shape. Now notice the tilt of the torso, the tilt of the pelvis right there. It's actually more extreme than I made it. I'm including a little bit more of the tilt at the top of the rib cage just from my own note there. But basically, I've done like kind of a starter exercise thing. You can also like, you don't have to draw exclusively beans. You can add like, if you have a little time left, you can draw like a little bit of that, like a little bit of the limbs, kind of like that. But I want you basically doing like the bean sort of thing, like I posted in chat. Let me actually bring this up real quick. Where can I put this? I'll figure out a way to put it on screen later after the warm-ups. What time is it now? We'll give ourselves maybe about 15 minutes for a quick warm-up. Okay, Google, set timer 15 minutes.
Sure, 15 minutes, and that's starting now.
And then I'll talk a little bit more. We'll take a quick 5, and then I'll talk a little bit more about what's on the slides that I made, and how to use the stuff. Although I think it's best if you can just refer to the slides. I might show them. I might like go over them a little bit more in Twitch. But if you refer to the slides in Discord, that might be a little bit better. And then we can just jump right into the next like demo sessions and stuff on this, and then I can play figure drawing blocks while I'm talking about how to use what's on the slides. So that might work a little better. Sort of invented that little pose there. Maybe shrink these. I want these to be really small on the page. I'm going to do several of them. So part of the reason why I'm having people do this also is to make like nice presentable pages. Even if you don't have the best drawings, like at least make your studies look more presentable. Like just the simple act of like throwing a gray tone backdrop and then like filling in your figures to make them stand out, for example, is one way to do it. There's lots of other ways to make your pages presentable. Sometimes you just are really good at doing composition of like your figures without any fancy special coloring or whatever. I'm trying this out right now because this is helping me break out of a rut for myself. This is a really interesting pose here. Let's take a peek. Let's take a closer peek at it real quick. So sometimes you're going to see me using the head a little bit because I kind of use that as a measuring device a little bit to figure out angles, but you don't need to for these. Like you can just go straight in with a line of action and create some orbs on it. Oh shit! I've got to email during the break. I've got to email someone real quick. There's a executive producer from an animation commercial documentary studio who contacted me about doing an interview tomorrow at 10 a.m. I've got to let my game dev team know because I might need to be taking off from the game dev team for a little while to work on that. Although I'll probably still be able to work on the game dev project on weekends. Well, don't say congrats until I've got the job. Yeah, with a gig like that, then I'm gonna definitely be able to fund like the 3080 and the other shit that I was talking about. I'm in the market for probably wanting to get a new drawing display too, but we'll see about that. The one I've got now is plenty good. I don't really need one, but I want to maybe get like a portable one. Like a 16-inch one, so that I can use it on a laptop or like a portable mini ITX computer. That's the other thing I'm interested in doing. Like, I'm interested in building a secondary mini ITX PC and turning the old computer that I have that I'm currently not using into a NAS drive. NAS drives are network-assisted storage devices. They are really exceedingly helpful for creating backup systems for your home. Also, please let me know if the music gets to be overpowering to my voice in here, by the way. So remember, today the focus is on the torso. So it doesn't matter if you don't get to other parts of the body. Those other parts of the body are optional. In the future, I'm going to be breaking stuff up by subject and by week, and I'm thinking we should definitely do like deep dives into different areas of the anatomy. Like I said, like I'm considering like our next session this week will definitely be on the will also be on the torso, but I'm thinking of making like possibly making like a 3-week thing, a 2 to 3 week thing. Because there's a lot of stuff you can do with the torso. And I might actually cover the arms too while I'm at it. Upper body, pelvis, and specialized stuff. That little gorillas guy down in the corner right there. I really like him. I kind of want to maybe do like an Astropug version of that same walk. Have them walking next to each other, like buddies or something. That'd be fun. So we can see right here, this is a good example of the active and inactive side from how that guy's torso is twisting. So we got a stretched out side over here and a compressed side over here. Hmm. Also, again, this is figure drawing for animators. That means, of course, today's focus will be on how we apply this kind of stuff to animation. So that means we're going to be also doing some invented poses using this. Show how the torso twists if we push the pose or we invent poses like for an animated sequence or something. That's a really, really nice, very nice, like, counterposed pose right there. I would even suggest, like, if you wanted to kind of like track how they tilt of the two parts of the bean go, you can use like the lines like this. Like this is the top of the pelvis. This is the top of the rib cage for me. Help you kind of keep in mind the counterposing forms of the torso in the bottom of the rib cage there. Something like this ish, I'd say. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
There's 6 minutes and 7 seconds to go.
Wow. That's surprising. A lot more time than I thought. Probably feels like it's taking less time right now because like I've got a little bit of heartburn and I'm kind of waiting to get up and get some Tums. Another thing you can do is you can add a little circle for like where the top of the rib cage is, like where the head, where like the neck comes out, like that. Just gonna add head there. You can also make like a center line down the torso like that. And remember, this particular session is just warm up, so just get loosened up, try stuff out. We'll be getting more into pushing stuff, and I'll do some draw-over demos of people's stuff in the classroom. Also, I'll be assigning a little bit of homework, like a reasonable amount of homework. That the due date will be this Friday. It's going to be something like a page full of like these bean torsos, and then whatever optional studies you have. Just throwing a little invented bean body in there. Better make sure I write back that producer, because he sent me an email like not long after I started the class here, so I got to respond to him before it gets too late in the evening, so that I make sure he gets the email. I should do that right now. It's only going to take a second. Well, all right. Okay, Google, set an alarm for 9 a.m.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Cool. So that'll get me up when I'm ready to go for that interview at 10. Who would it been? Who would it been? Cool bean. cool bean. No, it's going to be online. Everything's like everything in animation right now is online for reasons that should be obvious right now. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
1 minute and 57 seconds to go.
All right, well that's good enough for me. Let's see here. I'm gonna grab some Tums, and please enjoy this little intermission thing while I'm off medicating my esophagus. Let's see here.
So, cool beans?
Cool beans.
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 Alright, be right back. I'm getting some Tums. Oh yeah, that's what a Tums says. I thought it was candy. Yeah. Yes, they're not candy, but they're made to taste kind of like candy, I guess. Let me see if there's any other things I can answer before I step up. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, set timer for 5 minutes. So we're on our break now.
Done. 5 minutes added to your timer.
You can, well, I'm going to pause it here. But yeah, let's see here. I'm going to put these in a folder, and then I'm going to grab fucking Tums and some water. I'm probably going to have to edit out that little Cool Beans interlude. And when I upload this to YouTube later. It's always annoying. Probably have heartburn because I drank too much coffee today. Be right back. That up again. Artist glove back on. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
1 minute and 53 seconds remaining.
Cool, got about 2 minutes before we get back into this. So, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this stuff. Might as well get started talking about it too. So this bean body, like I said, like this is the basic idea of it. You start with a line of action and you create like these kind of spheres that are meant to represent the rib cage and the pelvis, or the pelvis of the stomach area, kind of opposing each other. Basically, like, oh, hang on, a little messy there. Basically, like these forms, like the rib cage in there and the pelvis in there. Those, and it's also represented by these box forms. So you can use like 3D boxes like this, or you can use these simple bean forms, like kind of what I did here. And you can go back and forth between them. And you were also going to be using the flour sack this evening as well, a little bit. So what I'm going to have people do for this next session, I'm going to, let's grab this one real quick. I'm going to have people I'm going to grab this image right here, screenshot it real fast. Okay. I'm going to screenshot that. And I'm going to post that shit in chat real quick. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw over it. Okay, Google, stop. So we take this, and now there's going to be 3 things we're going to do here. We're going to do 3 different versions of this. We're going to do the line of action bean. We're going to do box form. And we're going to do flour sack. But we're going to do those via draw over. So I've got made like little thumbnails right here to the side of my picture. Thumbnails aren't necessarily accurate. These thumbnails aren't necessarily accurate, but they're kind of like a quick visual impression of what I'm looking at. They're just kind of a way for me to orient myself with a plan of attack on these. So with those little thumbnails out of the way, now I can build the opacity on this. Maybe take a colored line so it stands out a little easier. Now I'm going to do a draw over. So those of you who won't be able to do a draw over, that's okay. What you can do is you can keep following the 2-minute poses that are on screen and keep drawing those. Or you can just pay attention to my demo. So, okay, Google, set timer for 20 minutes.
20 minutes, and that's starting now.
So I'm loosely kind of like trying to use like the general shape of the buttocks and where I think the pelvis is to kind of like guesstimate like the pelvis and the rib cage through those forms. I'm also keeping track of like the center line here a little bit, just for like the twisting of the form a bit. But look at that, you can actually see like on her shirt how like the fleshy mass around the body twists, and you want to think of it like in these terms, like you got two balls like this, and then there's like this kind of mass that's stretched between them a bit. And like let's say like let's say like one of them twists like taffy. It's gonna do like kind of like a twisty taffy effect with like sort of crease lines and stuff. If one of them squishes over, if one of them like squishes over to the side like that and compresses one side's gonna compress and the other side's gonna stretch out. Another way to think of this is, if you're thinking about torso form specifically, you can use a cube and a sphere like this. Also, stuff like this you'll actually see in Glenn Bilpu's drawing manual too, by the way, which we touched on previously, like last week. That's right, the bibliography from last week of the different art books. Maybe I should show that during class a little bit later. But here, getting back to this. I'm going to continue and do like I'm going to slow down and do a full study of all three of these things. This is my time to slow down on this particular pose. Mainly focusing on the torso. I could include little bits of like the limbs or maybe like the deltoid. Stuff like that, for example, just like kind of give me some context for the pose a little bit. Like that. But it's not really that necessary. So the next thing I'm going to do, maybe lower opacity on this slightly. Doesn't matter. I'll keep it going, keep it up. But next thing I'm going to do, let's take some dark blue maybe. I'm going to do a box form. Draw over of this. So for our box form, we kind of want to pay attention to, I think black would probably work better for this. We want to pay attention to the like kind of the top of the torso. And think of that as like a boxy area. That'll help us define things. Now the box of the torso can be like a really kind of like it can be a plain old box, like a plain old like box that nothing really fancy is happening to. But I'm a big fan because we're animators. I'm a big fan of using bendy boxes, where like the box kind of follows the curve of the line of action of the figure. In this case, the line of action of the figure we could probably say is something like this. Oops. And like something like this for that. And then there's like a secondary line of action that's kind of going through here. Like so. So that is one thing I probably should have included first. Line of action is something along these lines. But yeah, put that back down under there. Better late than never. So I like letting, because we are animators, we kind of generally want to favor letting even our shape construction be driven by gesture. So that means like the forms we make, even the solid forms we make, would be influenced by gesture. So hence this cube is like slightly bending. So I'm sort of judging like where the back of the pelvis is based on like where I'm kind of seeing the buttock showing. The back of the form of the pelvis, something like that. And because I know like from side view, like the forms of the torso kind of do this. Like here's the rib cage, if you're looking at it from the side view. Here's the pelvis. From side view. If you view it from the front, these simple forms basically just look like two symmetrical cubes connected together, where you can kind of, I guess you could see the top plane of the pelvis. Versus like a 3/4 view would look more like this. Kind of looks like a Muppet, so. Make a little Muppet body on him just for fun. But yeah, so now we got like a pretty worthwhile torso. To make this like more obvious, like what the torso is doing, I'm kind of gonna do this a bit. I think it's like a little bit off. Like I think the bottom of the torso is probably doing more something like, let's see here. I think the upper part of the torso is pretty on, but like I think the bottom is like kind of just there. The hard forms of the rib cage generally don't change too much. Whoops. Did I fuck up? Yeah, I did fuck up. There we go. Wanted to do this. So the hard forms of the rib cage generally don't change too much. But you can exaggerate them a little bit and kind of bend them and stuff. If you're really like doing an exaggerated character, sometimes you'll see them bend drastically. Another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add some white lines here, and then like... like torso twist kind of thing going on there. But yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do, now that I have all that, I put that in its own folder. Maybe lower well, I'm gonna maybe turn that off, and now I'm going to keep my guide up at least. Turn that off. New layer. Now I'm going to create a flour sack using this lady as a basis. So kind of start the same way, a similar way, but this flour sack is its own character. And it kind of needs to look like a flour sack. So I'm going to use like these little indications of like these for like the legs of the flour sack. And you can kind of use this kind of like seam stitch in the side here for the side of the torso a little bit. We generally want to make the bottom part of the flour sack bigger than the top. So I'm going to kind of change that a little bit. Make sure that the top is twisting. Make the leg move over here a bit more. If you notice, I didn't start with a line of action, so that is a cardinal sin on my part. Should have started more like this. So I'm going to turn off the reference now. Turn this down. I'm going to push this to be more like a character flour sack that I want to draw. Let's see here. The seam stitch would be about here. Kind of lump in here a bit. Go something like that. I'm gonna include like a little kind of. My flour sack has like these little patches where you can tell what the torso is doing right there. So something like this. Oh, cool. The producer got back to me. He just sent me an email just now. That's what that little noise you just heard was. So yeah, I've got a job interview tomorrow. That should be fun. For the heck of it, I'm going to steal the color I used for the flour sack warm-up. So we're going to be doing some more of these, and maybe some freehand ones of these today. We're going to be doing some more drawovers, just like the one I just did now. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
9 minutes and 34 seconds left.
Very nice. I think we got enough time that if I'm quick about it, we can yoink another picture and get to work on another of these. I'm going to drag that down there. Turn that on. Turn that on. Opacity. Cool. So there's that. It's a nice little demo. Got like a little flower set character sketch out of it. These go in their own folder, turn these off. We might go a little bit over time into the break just to finish up the next one. But let's grab another suitable pose from the gesture drawing app real quick to do another demo. This is, I think that's that same lady right there, just from another pose angle. That might be a good idea to do. Let's do that. This might be like the same like moment or near the same moment. But photographed from a different angle. So I'll post this in classroom chat. Alright, also I see Naughty Naughty. Please don't post bot commands in the classroom chat. Put those in the bot command channel. Thank you. And I see someone did some little limbs there. I'd say maybe spend some more time on the flower sack you did though. Let's see here. So, let's copy paste that into the drawing chat, into my drawing app real quick. So we're gonna do this until we get like the same thing we got for the last one. Lower opacity on this. Well, actually, before I lower opacity on that, I want to do like a quick side-by-side little thumbnail thing. Just keep them really small, so I get like the general idea of it. So that this is like my first impression of the thing, basically. So there's my lima bean. Here's my cubes. Cubes are more like this, I'd say. It's close. If you do these little thumbnails, you get a chance to kind of get things right or wrong before you start doing another version of it. Like, for example, I think I goofed on the tilt of the pelvis there, so like that. It's interesting to see what what you're gonna struggle with or whatever. And then Alright, now I got those. Move this over to the side here. And here. Take these. Lower opacity on her. Alright, I'm going to save a backup of this. See, there we go. All right, so some red lines, undo my bean draw over. Start with a line of action, actually. There you go, line of action, something like that. Sort of guesstimating it. Let's lower opacity on it a little. My red line. Kind of the rib cage form in here a little bit. A little bit of the spine back there, just as an indicator.
Do you think I want this?
And sort of connect them a little bit with a little bit of fleshy mass there. that. Some black lines. So we can see the tilt of the ribcage is something like this. The side plane of the body, we actually have a marker for the side plane of the body with that side of her outfit, I think. That's handy. So I get the top of the ribcage is slightly visible here, I would say. I'm following the kind of bendy torso principle here. Bendy cubes. And like this is about, right here would be like the side plane of her buttocks, I'd say. You can kind of see the top plane of it a bit. You see what observations I made from my notes. Yeah, I was actually off from that. I think that the tilt is going this way. It looks kind of like it because like the ellipse of her shorts is kind of there. But I mean, these are just guesstimates. It'd be easier to see if we like saw her in motion, or we could rotate around her image from this angle or something. But you have to guesstimate an awful lot. So maybe make some interconnected lines, leave some white again like I did for the last one. This would be connected to here. This would be connected to here. That's connected to the back part of the cube, and then there's like somewhere over here. Somewhere over this way. That part is connected there. You can do it, so this is pretty about right, I'd say. So let's see, I'll throw these into their own folder. And now it's time for the flour sack. Let's see if I can handle this before the timer goes out. This time I have a little bit more kind of warmed up using the flour sack, so I'm going to make some a little bit better judgment calls. I'm making this into a character, because that's what you're doing when you're using the flour sack. You're making the pose into a character. This is not unlike if you're doing like a regular cartoon character or something. Except the flour sack is a really easy character to handle. Like, you can use a very simple model for it. You don't even really need a model sheet for it, although there's some really good flour sack designs people have done. So something like that. And let's see here. Joink that color up there. So this is kind of like character practice stuff. Also, another reason why I'm having you guys do this is because is one of my like a couple of my animation class stuffs on Monday is going to be using flour sack characters at certain points. I think next week actually. Yeah, there we go. Flour sack. So let me put it over here. Neat. Okay, yeah, we just made it in time. Cool. All right, so I'll stuff those in their own folder now. Let's raise opacity on her. Whoa, that's a little too bright. Knock it back a bit. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I do like how like color coding stuff and deciding a little bit of fills here and there and stuff kind of definitely does make these demo pages pop more. Makes them more fun to do for me as well. Yeah, the thumbnails make it a little easier because it's like your first pass on it and you have a little bit of breathing room to mess up. I'm not doing the best right now at these flour sacks. I'm feeling a little uneasy, like the so we might like go over a little bit some of flour sack stuff to kind of like figure out our character model for the flower sack a little better. Because one of the things about flower sack is you can do a lot of invention with it. So we're probably going to maybe use a little bit of that for the next session. Okay, Google, set timer for 4.5 minutes.
4 minutes and 30 seconds. Starting now.
Yeah, flower sacks are like really easy to do, and like if you are pretty comfortable with competently doing flower sacks, it's not that much of a stretch to move to characters. Like cartoon characters or whatever. Like it's the most base form way of like kind of converting poses into a character for animators. Or for comic artists and cartoonists for that matter. Like you can get a lot of attitude in the body language of a flower sack. Flower sack seems to make it hard for me to visualize. Well, we'll work on that maybe. Probably would help if I showed some better drawn flower sacks than the ones that I'm drawing right now. So we'll do that after the break. I'm gonna throw a little shadow on my flower sacks though. Just like 50% black, that's all you need to throw a little shadow on something. A little toon shadow. Nothing fancy, I just want something to kind of read the contrast between shapes and forms that might be in and out of shadow. I'm not too worried about that one. I don't think that flower sack was quite as successful. We're still getting warmed up with using this little puppy, so... Flower sack. Let's see if I can find some good examples. There's a bunch of them if you like do a Google image search for flower sack animator. Like there's a bunch of examples of flower sack expressions and moods. I think these are from the Walt Stanchfield book. Yeah, let's hold on to this page for example. This might be because there's like a good sense of weight in these little tiny sketches, so this might be something to play with for our purposes. But yeah, you can see like animators will sometimes sometimes like animate with flower sacks to like especially student animators. These are by student animators, so they're not the best examples. This one's pretty good. That's pretty good. Waving flower sacks. That one's got some problems with it, but good attempt for a student. Yeah, that one's got some problems with it too, but so a lot of these aren't that great because they're by students, so it's understandable. Yeah, let's see here. That's a good page of flower sacks right there. I'll hold on to that. It's a good page right there. Pretty nice. Yeah, I'll copy paste this image in the Discord chat. So that'll be handy. Okay, Google, stop. Alright, so our buddy the flour sack. We're gonna get to know him now. I'm gonna start off with a quick sketch of myself as a flour sack. Almost kind of looks like a flour sack with a head, doesn't it? Flour sack with a pompadour. So you're gonna watch me basically make live notes now. So essentially the flour sack is a simplification of the forms of the torso and limbs. And it's a way for animators to kind of key into that stuff without overcomplicating things when they're learning or adjusting. Like sometimes you'll see like animators trying to learn new software and they'll use like they'll draw like a flour sack animation or something. Let's get a tone of gray that kind of that looks pretty flour sacky. For the heck of it, I'll just throw some 50% black on him. So, big takeaway from the flour sack is the ability to squash and stretch it. Aside from like, you know, twisting the torso and using like different posing of the torso. Like for animators, that means like the flour sack registers like gravity and stuff, like the different forces that act against it, both for its attitude and like for when it like comes down from like a jump or like if it gets dropped or falls or something. I see some pretty good flour sack drawings in chat, by the way. So we'll take a look at those for sure. But right now, let's like look at the Walt Stanchfield page I posted in chat for like reference ideas. But we're gonna like try to get like a few flour sack poses. Like I'm doing a squash. Let me shrink that a bit. Actually, it's a bit big. I make sure I have enough room for all these. I might wind up shrinking the stuff that's up top. Swash. And stretch. You can like really pull and exaggerate this too, like. Because like the flour sack maintains like its volume. Even when it stretches. This is like a bag of. This is pretty much like a bag of cloth with flour in it and stuff. So, it's gonna. You should generally try to maintain like roughly about the same volume. And how it stretches out and squashes and stuff, versus when it's neutral. Maintaining volume is extremely important in animation. Sometimes stuff can go off volume a little bit, but as long as it goes back to its original shape and its original volumes, it's at some point, or usually to bookend an action where things get distorted or exaggerated. Then it doesn't break the illusion. Stretch. Squash and stretch are principles, of course, of animation. We went over those a little bit on Monday. We're going to be going over them some more in coming weeks. I do believe we will be covering how to animate these puppies next Monday. I have a few things in mind for the curriculum Monday. I wasn't expressly going to focus on flower sacks, but I probably will now. Because I kind of see that it's really relevant to what we're doing in the figure drawing classes. So consider this almost kind of like prep time for getting ready to animate a flower sack for the Monday classes next week. We'll be doing more torso studies Friday too. We will be reviewing the notes that we took today and adding to more notes. But yeah, you should be able to. I want you guys right now to like. Let's see, what time is it? Let's give it about This will give it about 15 more minutes. Okay, Google, set timer for 15 minutes.
Sure, 15 minutes.
Let's give about 15
Starting
minutes. 15
now.
minutes for everyone to. You can use the pose reference that's on screen if you like. But let's give about 15 minutes to get like a good array of like attitudes right here. Maybe like try doing the Walt Stanchfield page right here and like do a bunch of flower sacks. Like look for ideas. Like try to like get some like get them in different states. Like we get the squash, the stretch, squashed and stretched and twisted. Like the torso twist. Torso twist would be probably the next one to do. Let me shrink this guy actually. So I think that one's a good attitude one. That one's sad. Let's do like I'm gonna do a torso twist on this one. So start with kind of a line of action here. So the flower sack is not a human, so it doesn't have bones, but you can make it kind of behave sort of like a human would. So you can keep in mind like stuff like the pelvis and so on. This is a anthropomorphic flower sack. It's a flower sack with human qualities, so there's going to be bits and pieces of little bits of how human anatomy works in this puppy. So I'm just straight up doing a study from the Walt Stanchfield thing for this. But for this, like this side is kind of stretching out here, and there's a little bit of a twist effect happening. So this will be scrunching here. We can tell it's a twist because of this line right here telling us what direction the front of the body is facing versus the side. It's very important. You want your pose to be understood by visual telegraphs in the pose that show what direction stuff is facing. Like if there's a twist like that, even like on a human figure or something, you want some kind of telegraph that tells what direction it's twisting. Beast. Mine looks like a sad potato. Yeah, I mean, like, it takes some getting used to. The good thing about this is, like, you can bust these out and do a lot of them. So you can start inventing them. Like, you can just start making, like, really, really silly, fun poses. You can do whatever you want with them and see what happens. Because there's no, like, pretense about making, like, a fantastic drawing. Like, I'm doing kind of like this is my attitude of this flower sack is like, oh, like they're kind of leaning over backwards like this, like, oh, exasperated. Like I got a little center line there just for telling what direction this little guy is facing. Got a little shadow down below because that gives more grounding to to the character standing there. And make no mistake about it, the flower sack is a character. It is a really easy to draw character. And starting with easy to draw characters is a great way to step up in animation. That's also why like Cuphead looking rubber hose characters, rubber hose like early animation characters, which are inherently pretty easy to draw compared to like more like, I don't know, anatomical anime characters or anatomical Disney characters or something. A lot of newcomer animators, it's a great idea for you to start with rubber hose characters because, or rubber hose-ish characters, because there's less to keep track of. There's less to overcomplicate things in the character, so you have more freedom and less detail to worry about when you're posing and animating with simpler character designs. And then as you start to understand more about how to make stuff move and how to work with anatomy and so on, then over time you can build up on top of that. And make anatomical characters that are driven by like the same kind of energy that went into your like little flower sacks. This approach is so powerful that you'll see versions of it being done even in like high-end art books or like Pixar or DreamWorks or whatever. By the way, we got a good example from Kung Fu Panda that's worth looking at. That is essentially what you're seeing here. One of the key concept artists on Kung Fu Panda, who I'm brain farting the name for, even though like people here who are familiar with the artists on that movie should really know because he's kind of a beloved artist. One of the main designer guy on the Kung Fu Panda movies, he did like a really great design sheet full of like let's see here. Rinsing. Full of like little tiny drawings, little tiny simple drawings of Po. Just like a page full of a ton of pandas. And my homework this week, my homework between now and Friday is for you to do basically a page kind of like that, but with the flower sack character. Yeah, also Aladdin's carpet. You're absolutely right. Aladdin's carpet is a flower sack character, but flat, basically. What's cool about what was cool about that character is like their design isn't very complicated, but then they had to like use the flower sack form to map a 3D texture onto it that bent it around, which was a little bit of an innovative use of CGI, combining it with old school animation basics. So magic carpet. And let's take a look at the model sheet for that actually. You can see it right here. In fact, I would encourage people, if you want to, feel free to draw this for the homework, the magic carpet character, because carpet is essentially a flower sack. It's a flower sack without volume, but it still follows the same rules of like torso twisting. It is a little trickier because it's a flat character, but look at this. I mean, like there's principles of life drawing going into this. You can kind of see like the indication of a leg, an arm, a lean, and stuff. Like these are really, really well done attitude poses and everything. And you can see carpet's basic form right there. Magic Carpet's definitely one of the better side characters in Aladdin, I think. Or in any Disney film. They're like side character that you wouldn't think would be a side character, but they managed to fit into the story without being an irritating, like, kind of shoehorned in side character. Very well. And they are in one of the most exciting action scenes, and a couple of the most exciting action scenes in the movie, too. Are magic carpet flight action scenes with CG backgrounds and stuff. It's one of the more fun parts of Aladdin. So, I guess we could do some more. Oh, Grizz and Norm, Tuesday tips. Flower sack. So, Grizz and Norm are a pair of artists from the animation industry, and they do these things called Tuesday tips that are like these free pages. There's book collections of these, but I'm gonna maybe start referring to these a little bit for our classes. But as you can see, like, I was inspired by what they do with their Tuesday tips for, like, a little Spacedad tips thing here. I'm doing like a shitty version of their Tuesday tips. I think they had a page. They had a page on the flour sack or something like that on. Let's see here. Tuesday tips, Riz, and Norm. They do have stuff on the torso that covers, like, that twist I'm talking about and so on. I'm going to be taking more of an extensive look at these before I start, like, utilizing them for my class, but I mean, there's excellent stuff in here, and I do recommend checking them out. Yeah, I could have sworn that they had a page on the flour sack. I might be misremembering. In any case, they do have stuff on the torso and simplifying forms like that and so on. But yeah, but if they didn't do a page on the flour sack, I'd beat them to the punch then. Yeah, the idea with these, if I would probably publish these as is, but then I would probably maybe want to do cleaner versions of these with more detailed information in them. I could do like a 2.0 version of these pages later or something. Let me see here. I'm gonna try doing like that little itty bitty. Actually, see, Kung Fu Panda concept art. Trying to find that huge page of Poe Panda drawings that he did. Oh. Here it is. Found it. Found it. So he did like this page of like simple like. Here, you can see like he did like a kind of a gesture drawing to kind of work out the pose, and then he went over it with paint and stuff. And he did like a huge page of this, like, and this is like just like it was done on like a cereal box or something, I think. Cardboard. But as you can see, he was like one of the principal artists for the character designs of Poe. So he applied the same principle to these really much more complex character designs. And if you think about it, like, these kind of break into, like, if you get a good sense of like how to make the flour sack work, you can kind of key into drawing characters like this. So, I mean, just getting used to being fluent with it and stuff. I would say that maybe we could try to approach them how he did. Where, like, I can maybe like start with like an expressive, simple drawing, something like this. Where I'm really kind of like just kind of scribbling out and trying to feel out the pose and stuff, and then I go in with another line and or like a cleaner line and makes like some simple shapes, stuff like that. For example, that's actually a lot bigger than I should be drawing. If I want to fill up the page and make it kind of like he did, maybe put about this size. Shrink it maybe a little more. Yeah, there we go. I want to do these fast. Maybe just like I don't even go over it again. I just bang them out really quickly, and then I go back in later and I go with like a hard pencil line or something. So I'm just going to be like inventing poses here. I might actually look at like the Kung Fu Panda art book here, as I'm creating these like flour sacks, which are simple bean body torso forms essentially. thinking about different poses and stuff. Making little notes like this little torso twist here going on. So maybe we could do some of these together, like bang out a page like this. If you got time in the rest of this, okay, Google, how much time left on timer? Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
You've got 37 seconds left.
I'm feeling pretty good about this, so I'm just gonna like draw maybe straight through the break. So let's see here. These are a little bit big. I need to zoom in more. Get these at the right size ratio. So your page should be like a mixture of invented poses and referenced posing of like a flour sack. Okay, Google, stop. I'm gonna do a couple more of these, but then I think I maybe should take a little break just for some water or something. So one of the good things about this exercise, about like using the flour sack, well, in conjunction with like learning the torso and just animation drawing in general, is it's a way to build confidence. Because if you have simple stuff you can play with and you get like satisfying, I made a character move, sort of feeling out of it, then it helps you build confidence, and then you can build on building that. You can build on top of the confidence that you built with more knowledge and more confidence, step by step. That's part of the reason why you want to take things to simplicity sometimes, because if things aren't really meshing together with what you're doing, then that's the time to kind of step back into simplicity and then build yourself up. That's something that I struggle with all the time, and I'm trying to get better at. That's why I'm teaching these classes, so it forces me to kind of think and rethink things for myself, because I need to make things interesting for the class. And I need to get value out of the practice session for myself. Also, depending on how things go with that job that I'm got myself involved in, I may or may not have time for classes, but we'll see. It depends on what they're going to be demanding of me. If it is, then stay tuned to the schedule. I will postpone or reschedule times for the classes. Depending on what the freelance gig entails. Ideally, I would love to be able to like work a regular like 8-hour shift or so on the project during the day, and then in the evening on the class days or whatever, just teach my classes as normal. Because then it'd be like a good way to round out the day with an artwork that would actually improve my performance at the job. That's something that I've been wanting to do since I started doing these. Like, I wanted to see if I can balance doing like professional work with these classes that I teach. Someone says, yeah, I was doing the ball animation study and managed to make it into a speaking Sonic ball. I was so happy. Yeah. If you look at like the way that the Sonic Mania handled Sonic Spin, it was a very kind of like squash and stretchy ball, simple ball that gets really, really dynamic. But yeah. So how's my mic level been during this? Has like the music not been overpowering at all, or is it just about right? Whatever. You don't hear any music? Really? That's strange. My desktop... Let me try adding some gain filter to my desktop. Gain. Okay, I added about 8 decibels to it. How's that? Do you hear it now? I added a gain filter in Twitch. FYI, anyone watching on my webcam in Discord will not be able to hear the music, by the way. Also, here's a neat feature that's, I would prefer people to watch me in Twitch, but from now on I'm going to be using the webcam feature when I stream. If you notice, it's backwards when it's on my screen, but that's just for me. It appears normal for everyone else who watches my webcam. It's like a weird Discord thing, but from now on, instead of that little kind of now streaming in Twitch thing that I play during class, I'm also going to have my webcam playing the stream. I would prefer people go to the Twitch because then they can support me with viewer counts. Even if you are just watching me, if you want to watch me like in real time and stuff, you can watch in here. And then you can turn off the audio in Twitch and let that run or whatever to support me with viewer counts on Twitch. But it's a utilities so that people can, like, people who are participating in the Discord stream can talk to me in real time. But yeah, that was a new feature that was added in Discord recently. You can stream a virtual webcam, like, here, let me show you. This. It's the virtual camera right here, and then you just, you can just, once you start that, you can just hit, like, the video button in Discord. And then if it's set, if your webcam is set to the virtual camera from OBS, then it'll just, like, use your, like, everything is a webcam. One of the drawbacks, unfortunately, of me doing that, that just occurred to me now, is that if you notice in Discord, like, it automatically limits the classroom size to 25 people when you're running a webcam. I'm really irritated by that. So I may find another workaround for that. There's other ways for me to I can stream in the future I can probably stream a virtual webcam to an app if, like, more than 25 people show up in the classroom voice. Or we're at 9 out of 25 people in the classroom voice right now, so it's probably not going to be an issue. At least for this session. I don't know. It might make things a little bit more sane if we do it like that, though. Because, like, like, voice chat is enabled right now. People can actually talk on push to talk and ask questions, or they should be able to. A lot of people that are just idling here are deaf and mute. They're probably just watching the webcam stream. Yeah, well, I'll figure it out. I'll figure something out that works for that shit. There might be a way to multitask it with AstroPug or some crap so I can have everyone in real time. I don't know. I think our break was long from over, so I'm gonna set the timer for another 25 minutes. Okay, Google, set timer for 25 minutes.
25 minutes, starting now.
So your task right now, either use reference on screen, or invent poses yourself, and I want you to fill up a page of flour sacks. Or get started on filling up a page of flour sacks. This is almost kind of like a preview of what you're going to do for homework. You can also use this to start your homework. The homework is going to be due next Friday. But I want you to fill up a page, kind of like that Kung Fu Panda page I showed, of flower sacks. You can also do the same thing with the cube bodies or the bean bodies if you feel up to it. These are pretty, like these things can be pretty fun to get into once you get the hang of them. So for this one, I'm trying to freehand a flower sack based on the pose right there. Isn't as pushed as I could probably make it, but that's good enough. Kind of satisfied with that, so I'm gonna maybe invent. I haven't like these are 2-minute poses, so maybe you can like have like 1 minute to do a flower sack and then another minute to invent a flower sack, or do like a pushed version of the flower sack you just drew. I'm gonna see if we can kind of sneak in like inventing pose sequences for the flower sack a little bit too. But yeah, we'll do some more of this, and I also want to get back to doing the bean body and the cube form body. So we'll do a little bit of that. Do a page kind of like those, this for those as well. I kind of like this. So do something like this for the line of action on this dude. You do kind of have to be creative a little bit with how you handle stuff, like how the limbs are and stuff on this little guy. I'm probably not handling this the best way that I could, but that's the point. You want to kind of play with it a bit. So let's see here. Maybe like do it like this instead of how that guy is posed exactly. So I get like the same idea, even though it's not quite the same pose. Bend that a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty good. Looks like a martial arts pose. Shrink that. These are fun to do too, that's the other thing. Like, coming up with exercises that are fun for the animator or the artist to do is really helpful for the learning process. Yeah, they should be. You want to mix up your studies with stuff that's fun and engaging for you with like the kind of really hard stuff, you know. So I'm going to kind of invent a little pose here. Also, there's been a lot of times when animators like will actually do a flower sack pose test themselves, or something similar to it. They'll use like very simple shapes that are very like kind of flower sacky for a character when they're kind of like roughing out a scene and stuff. So what you're doing right here is like the building blocks of like tools of animation that you're gonna that you would use professionally as well. I mean, if you can't animate a flour sack well, then good luck working, really. Fortunately, flour sacks are so approachable; they're really pretty easy to pick up and get into, and then just insert more and more stuff into them. Like as you saw, like in those magic carpet things, there was like that was like what happens when like a Disney master of like human figure drawing does poses of like a really simple kind of flour sacky character. Like you can see you can kind of sense the figure drawing and life drawing in the posturing there. It's for some of them. Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of times when you will have to invent posing on characters that don't quite look like the reference that you're using. That's part of what learning to draw poses of the flour sack is about. Sort of challenge you to come up with solutions for like if something isn't quite working, to like in how you translate it, which is something you're going to need to do. Like if you have like a live action pose of like a dude running down a hallway, and you have to draw like a Tom and Jerry mouse character and stuff, it's not going to look. The posing is not going to look the same, but you want like the same idea and a similar kind of like the physicality or whatever. And that also applies if you're doing like very anatomical characters that might not be exactly, but that still might not be exactly as might not appear exactly as the reference does. That happens like in even like really high-end anime productions and stuff. I was actually like one of the documentaries I was watching yesterday on Satoshi Kon. They showed some of the Tokyo Godfathers video reference that they shot, and it does look quite a bit different than what they actually animated. Like there was a lot of invention going on, and invention and exaggeration with what the animators were doing versus the live action. And that's like a super duper high-end version of that kind of translation and invention and exaggeration and stuff of figure reference versus the character. The pushed character you're trying to do. Another thing you can do is like if you see a pose that's not quite working, like I'm not really too happy with that one, I'm probably going to go back and then I'm going to try to see if I can do a little better and just draw over it later. Let's see here. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
You've got 15 minutes and 39 seconds remaining.
Nice. We'll give it a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to go back to the bean body a little bit, I think. So after loosening up with this, like, you can kind of, like, use this same kind of exaggeration with the bean body a bit. So I'm going to start a separate page for the bean body, and I'll probably start a separate page for the cube body as well. Like, we are doing a character here, but we're also going to be doing torso study stuff. That one's a little, well, yeah, we'll leave it. Roided out flour sack. It looks like a reverse flour sack. Let's try that real quick, actually. I'm going to do like a reversed flour sack where like the upper part like what happens when you give a flower sack steroids. The himbo flower sack. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. Flower sacks are really fun to do, so I figured it would be nice to mix this in. I'm gonna always be looking for strategies of like trying to add like that sugar that makes the medicine go down to these, and thankfully there's a lot of that in animation. Like applying what you're learning to a lot of this stuff is really fun, especially if you're going with simplicity, like something like the flower sack. But simplistic repetition where you have room to play is an essential learning tool, especially for animators. And what you're doing here, you should be able to do with your own characters, or just characters any characters really. Like if you're starting work on a new production, you might do like a shorthand thumbnail version of the character that's about as complicated as, only slightly more complicated than a flower sack, or about as complicated as a flower sack. And you just fill up a huge page of like different attitude poses and stuff and get it out of your system and see how far you can push it and play with it and so on. Kind of like what that Poe page was for Kung Fu Panda. In that case, that was a character designer trying to develop a character, but he was kind of keying into the flow of how he'd approach the character. It gave him like he gave himself like a limited set of rules to work with for that page. And it helped him like kind of think about just like the general read of the posing, play with different poses and stuff. So pretty good looking page. Actually do want to maybe like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I kind of feel like I kind of think maybe we should keep going on this. See 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. At least 3 more poses here. Maybe fit one in here also. So I kind of want to make a nice little page of this stuff. I'll do a little invented pose in here. A little squishy. Flower sack foreshortening on the leg there. A little bit. You're thinking this could be probably be foreshortened even more, so let's try down in here maybe. Yeah. Oh, no, that looks like crap now. Let's see, maybe lower opacity on it. This is what I mean when like you want to like try pushing the pose. Let's see here. That's a little better. Let's keep that ghosted back there. But this is fun because you can just like play with base personality and stuff. I really kind of needed this too because this is a great warm-up exercise for messing with like weight and personality and so on. We are going to be studying like a lot of kind of dry anatomical knowledge, but we're animators and cartoonists, so we do need to inject life and personality into what we're doing. I don't have very much room to draw here, do I? I'm gonna do like quickie thumbnail flower sacks. Now that I have a better sense of how he works, I can kind of do this kind of stuff. Where it's just like really quick thumbnail-y kind of things, and I can like fill up a page with itty bitty doodles like that. But yeah, the torso, the bean torso basically follows the same principles as the flower sack, more or less, or the flower sack more or less follows the same principles as the bean torso. So if you can do the bean torso, you should be able to do a flower sack. You just add little limbs onto it, like this. For our next session, I think we're going to be doing our next 25 minutes like session here after the 5-minute break. We'll be doing a page full of the bean bodies, kind of like this. But instead of like flower sack limbs, we'll be adding indications of the arms. You don't have to like put the whole indication out, but just like a little bit, like kind of ghost in a little bit where the legs are going off or something like that. Kind of like that. So it is basically the flower sack. We're not looking for anatomical accuracy or anything. We're looking for the same kind of approach you took on this page with the flower sack, but for a torso. I'm gonna do a couple more of those actually right there to make the kind of mental connection what we're doing for the next 25 minutes. So instead of those little kind of like floppy bits for the limbs on the flower sac, we're going to be adding indication of limbs, maybe like a little neck. You can even add like a globe in for the head with the center line if you so choose. But keep it simple and keep it all about like the attitude and the posturing. These are going to be quick kind of attitude, posture, weight studies. But they follow the same principle as the flower sac. You can even start them off like how a flower sac starts, because these are going to involve like the same kind of exaggeration that goes into a flower sac, or the same kind of attitude. You don't have to draw the whole limb out. You can just do like a little kind of a stubby vignette, sort of like that. See? That's what we'll be doing on the next page. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
You've got 3 minutes and 22 seconds to go.
Cool. I'll do a few more little flower sacs here in the corner. Just gonna fill out this page. Do you think you'd want to like start like with the mechanical thing when you're doing something like this? But that's not always the case. Sometimes doing the fun thing first, like in this case the flower sac stuff, can help you loosen up to do the mechanical tough thing. Also, another secret about these, once you have like a pose that feels really nice for these, it doesn't really take too much to like add a head to it and make it into a character. Or like add some cartoon character limbs or something. That's why having this tool in your arsenal for making characters and just loosening up in general. Like if you're feeling kind of stodgy and you need to like, kind of like just like loosen up a bit and play with personality and stuff, you can always use flower sacs. Or if you're trying to solve an animation problem without overcomplicating things, you can try a flower sac-like form. Or draw a bunch of flower sacs to kind of warm up, or whatever. It's an excellent tool. We'll be using more of this guy next Friday. And I'm really dead set on making Monday about doing flower sac animation demo stuff. Okay, Google, stop. Alright, so, okay, Google, set timer 5 minutes.
Alright, 5 minutes. Starting now.
Alright, so what do we do? when we're done with a page like this? Well, I want to maybe take pages like this and do like simple shape studies and stuff on them, but kind of like the Kung Fu Panda thing. But I'm just gonna fill these in because I want them to stand out on the page, just like the sketches as they are. But if you want to, you can go back through with like something cleaner than this. In fact, I may be like raising this to another layer after I do like my initial draw over here. It might be good to kind of play with a bit. See how that looks when I've drawn like these kind of quick shapes in here. Doing this would probably help you with silhouette study too, if I had like the opacity lowered a bit more on the thing. But for now, I'm just gonna like draw over these with white. Make it really quick. I'll just do this during the break. So did anyone have any questions? There has been some other questions I've noticed people asking in chat. Might have to scroll up. Would the boogeyman for Night Before Christmas be also a good reference for Flour Sack? Yeah, probably. He is basically a flour sack. He does have a head though, and there are some like things about him. But yeah, he's basically a flour sack. He's a giant animated flour sack character in stop motion. There's drawings of him too, and I think might have been a 2D animation test of him too at some point. Oh no, wait, there was like 2D. There was that 2D cutout animation from like certain points in the film showing shadows of him. That's what that was. But that stuff was like, well, pretty flat-ish. It was supposed to be like very expressionist, kind of flat-looking, stylized compared to like how he looks when he's a full 3D stop-motion puppet. I'd save a backup of this, so I'd hate to lose that page. I can always fill in whites later, but that was a good page of flour sacks. I'm happy to report, as a side note, my weight loss routine's going pretty well. Got roughly about like 30 more pounds to lose before I get to my target weight. But I've lost about 15 pounds already, so. I lose another 15 pounds and I'll actually be in the ballpark of like of what's healthy for me, basically. But 30 would put me at like ideal, basically. 30 or roughly 30 or 40, somewhere between there. What's your plan like? Have my biggest meal in the morning. I don't eat any processed foods. Like, it's all like vegetables, whole wheats. I avoid sugars. I will occasionally have a small treat, but I generally will avoid processed sugars and stuff. My meals generally look like about half the plate is veggies. A quarter of the plate is carbs, and complex carbs, like brown rice or brown pasta or whole wheat bread or something along those lines. And then a quarter of it is like protein, like chicken or something. Chicken or lean beef. Okay, Google, stop. I'm gonna finish coloring the. I'm gonna finish like whiting these in real quick before I get back to the next page. We'll start a new timer when I do. I just want to make sure I get this done before I move on. What's cool though is that because like I'm trying to lose weight the right way, which is like by getting your nutritional needs met and not like overdoing it, I'm able to sustain it. And also like my appetites and cravings have gone down because like the insulin isn't rushing through my system from processing the simple sugars that I'm stuffing my face with. So I'm not having like cravings like crazy anymore. And I can feel my body burning its fat stores when I'm hungry. Like I can feel that right now. And I feel like I have more energy. Because I'm having my nutritional needs met, that means that the calories that are being burned by my body are not starvation calories. They're fat. They're just fat store burning or malnutrition burning. It's burning the fat stores healthily for me right now. So the energy that my body currently has is being used up, and it's being used up in conjunction with the nutrition I took in. So that means I have plenty of energy, and I actually feel more energy because it's like my metabolism is working like the well-oiled machine it should be. And it's going to be like that until I hit my target ideal weight. Then I will start working on building up some muscle and try to stay at like my target ideal weight and health and fitness long term, which means maintaining those healthy habits, which means that if I have treat days, I have to be careful about them. I can have treat days, just have to be really careful about them. I just have, even on the treat day, I have to keep track of the calories. I can't be sloppy with them then. It's like, okay, I had a slice of pizza or two. That was about X number of calories. That was my treat day. I gotta make up for it later, but it's okay. As long as I'm still within the ballpark. And it's actually not really that hard to do. I mean, it's mostly willpower to keep it up, but it gets easier to do it when your body gets used to eating those kinds of foods and realizing, oh, yeah, I can have tasty treat foods occasionally. But I'm finding that I don't really like those things. I don't really like sugary treat foods as much anymore because they don't give me energy the way that like the regular healthy stuff does. That and I've learned how to like cook the healthy stuff in ways that makes them really tasty. So it like easily outclasses fucking fried chicken or whatever. There we go. So that's why I wanted people to like kind of like maybe use like a grayscale background or something like that, and then like use some colors to distinguish things. I mean, there's other ways to do it too, but like some kind of way to make the things that you're drawing this evening pop out, to make the pages more memorable, and also to like kind of break you out of any comfort zone you might be in. And there's other ways you can do it too. Like, I mean, there's a billion different ways to make like things pop on a on like a drawing page like these. See if I can add something to this. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
It looks like you don't have any timers set at the
Oh
moment.
shit, well fuck this then. We gotta get back to our drawing, don't we? How much time do we have left? It is 7:40. Wow, we got about 45 minutes. Might go a little bit over time because I think people are enjoying themselves. So, but we'll see. So the next set, we'll start right now. I'll set it for like 20 minutes. Okay, Google, set timer 20 minutes.
20 minutes, starting now.
So we're going to be going back to this. right here. Except now we're doing it with the knowledge in mind, with the knowledge and warm-ups in mind of like the we're gonna be doing it with like the approach in mind that we got from doing the flour sack. So I want you to treat human torso kind of like you treated the flour sack. Also, feel free to try what I did on that previous page with like a sort of like making a cartoon character out of the flour sack. If you feel like it. So, but this page we're gonna be here. I'm gonna reset that pose real quick. For this page, we're gonna be doing the bean, the lima bean body. But we're gonna be approaching it like we approached the flour sack. Like a sense of play and exaggeration to it. And you don't have to draw the whole body out. You just can include little indications of the limbs. Here. I'm going to include like a black line for the indication of where the center line of the torso is. Top of the neck a little bit, maybe. You can include like little optional bits like that too, if you like. And then I can really push this more. Like the torso is really kind of getting shifted in that pose. Big ol' squeeze. Pelvis is really pushed over that way. Just making little notes for myself here. And guess what? We're going to do the same kind of thing that we're doing here, this kind of fun repetition for limbs and other areas of the body too in the future. Like we'll do one for heads and facial expressions too in the future, but today we are focused on the torso and the flour sack and a little bit of maybe the box forms. Might do some of those. I actually may hold off on like doing the box forms more this session. I'll hold off on those for maybe like Wednesday, Friday a bit more. But we'll be doing more of this stuff on Friday. You honestly can never do enough like flour sack practice for that matter. They're a wonderful tool. And loosening up, warming up. Just thinking about personality and whatever. You can also do the same thing that we did with the flour sack, where like, okay, you feel comfortable inventing pose. You're gonna do that alongside one of these. Maybe you invent a pose that's in relation to the pose that you just drew. So a few things about this. The center line is about, let's see here. Center line is something like this. Top of the pelvis is about here. Bottom of the ribcage is about there. And then there's that like connective tissue line going over here, where we have a squish, stretch. Out there. I drew that really big. I should group both those really big. I should draw way smaller for this. So there's that. Big ol' steroid Mr. Universe here. Fun fact, even if you increase your muscle mass, your torso your ribcage remains the same size. It goes if you gain a lot of weight too. Your bones stay the same size. Sometimes they get displaced a little bit by muscle and fat though. But underneath that guy's bulging torso with all the muscle stuff is a ribcage that's the same size ratio as anyone else's. With personal variation, because like some people sometimes have kind of slightly different proportions for their bones than other people. No one's perfect. No one's like an ideal, perfect specimen. Made his head a little big. Shrink that. Also I think I'm going to go over a little bit more proportions for the torso on Friday. Like, I think I'll probably talk a little bit more about, like, the anatomy. Well, we'll see. I'm kind of playing it by ear with what I think would be good to focus on with these. And repeating more or less what we did and just kind of building off it very gradually would be probably the best way to do things. This torso week, so we'll focus on the torso. Yeah, like I was just when we had time left, I was going to show like the reason why this torso looks big is there's muscles that connect up at the back that are under his arms that bulge out and create that bulk. That's what gives people that giant torso appearance when they have a lot of muscle, instead of the rib cage. But you will see, like in character design, oftentimes the actual structural rib cage of a muscle-bound character will sometimes be heavily exaggerated. And that's just a character design thing, especially for like very cartoony characters. Even like superhero Hulk-looking characters, like their rib cages, and depending on how the artist draws them, will sometimes be bulked out too. Not always, though. Sure, if you really look for it, there's probably versions of the Hulk where like proportionally his rib cage isn't too far off from like a regular person's, depending on the artist. Like his actual physical frame and maybe like proportions of his limbs might be big, but like the artist decided, and I'm gonna want to maybe try drawing Hulk a little bit more kind of plausible human proportions, even though he's a big bulky dude. I'm kind of going on autopilot there a little bit, so I gotta reel it back in because I'm concerned with simplicity right now. It's all about simplicity and working within the rules we get. We have a little breathing room to play, but we want to work within the rules we gave ourselves this evening. Of like the how the torso being works. Remember, it works like a flour sack, so just keep in mind the flour sack. A few things about this guy, like, I think it head's out of position in my version. But like, you can tell like there's the top plane of his ribcage is about here. The torso is actually, the upper torso, the rib cage is actually leaning towards us. The pelvis is like something like this. So I'm inserting some of the box forms in here to show what I'm talking about with this. But something along those lines. Shrinky that guy. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
T minus 9 minutes and 22 seconds.
Very nice. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Nice. So we got 5 more poses to draw before a 5-minute break. Very good. So this is a very, very dynamic pose. I'm actually tempted to do a draw. I think I'm... Did I do a draw over this guy previously? May have. But not using this stuff, I don't think. Again, we can kind of see the top plane of his rib cage there. Center line is pretty easy to spot, looking at the pectorals and where the belly button kind of is. We're not really too concerned with the limbs right now, so I'm just going to put some bare indications of them a little bit. Take a black line. Kind of play with adding in some of the planes and stuff, using those box forms a bit. I think that pelvis might be faced the other way a little bit, but just kind of guesstimating and rolling with it because I only have so much time to complete that pose. Alright. Let's see what I can do with this dude. Again, muscular people. Their rib cages are the same as like anyone else's. Same general proportions. It's just the added muscle that's on top of it that makes it look big. I'll show you a little bit of what I mean. Add a little bit of, just a little bit of anatomy here. Throwing me off here. I think that works. Alright. I think this is called the trapezius back here. The big muscle that's like behind the torso, kind of. Like that really bulks out, and that's what adds like the impression of mass to the torso. So if you want to really like make yourself look bulky, aside from like bulking out your arms, you want to work your triceps, or not triceps, trapezius. Triceps, so the muscles on the back of your upper arm, your bicep, the rear of your bicep, basically. The opposing muscle on the other side of your upper arm. I'm just going to take time to do an itty-bitty, mini, quick and dirty anatomy study. One of the things that I'm looking at possibly doing on Wednesday, either Wednesday or next week, is kind of these vignetted studies of poses where we kind of do like the upper body, including like the forms of the deltoids and the collarbone. And then we sort of start working our way down the arms and stuff too. But we'll see how we want to pace that out. Because we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with like too much detail in these practice sessions. We want to take things slowly. This is a very interesting pose here that this lady is in, especially with that head tilt. I'm gonna include a little bit of that actually. She's got like that kind of upper torso tilt and then her pelvis somewhere about there. Center line here, top of the torso, top of the pelvis dish. You can use a very simple form for the head a little bit here. So we're just thinking about simple forms right now. Simple information that we can take in and describe quickly. So this lady, she's standing pretty still, but she has like a very distinct thrust to her torso. Just kind of like thrusting up over that way a little bit. It's sort of counterposing down over here, so we get kind of like this effect going on here, where you can sort of emphasize, like you can kind of read how the pose is going here just from this little sketch, just from including like that side and that side. With that in mind, we can make the beam. Let's make a little indication of the legs. They're kind of hyperextended a little bit, so they're kind of like bowing and like going out like that in their curve. Here. So I think there's one more pose after this one. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got one more pose after this. I think we should close out with the flower sacks again. That would be a good idea. We'll do that. We'll do another page of flower sacks for the closing thing. Let's make it a good 25-minute sesh of the flower sacks. I'll do a flower sack here just for fun. How's that? Okay, Google, stop. Alright, so our last session this evening. Okay, Google, set timer 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. And we're starting now.
We're gonna do another page like this. But better, hopefully. So I'll give you all a 5-minute break, and then we're gonna go for broke. 25 minutes of more of the flour sack. This little guy here. Feel free to mix it up. You can dodge between like doing the flour sack and like doing figure poses, or maybe doing like a quick cartoon character or whatever. But we're gonna be doing flour sacks for the last 25 minutes sesh. It's gonna stretch out a bit. This has been a good session. We might stick around a little bit later because there's some cool shit I'd like to show off people here that I've been finding lately. When we do, I will like reset the stream because then I can show like stuff on YouTube without getting boinked with copyright stuff when I upload to YouTube. When I upload this archive to YouTube later. Like one of the videos I put mid-stream, I'm probably gonna have to cut out like when I upload this to YouTube. It's gonna be annoying. I normally don't like doing that, but it was fun. Do you have any recommendations for gesture drawing websites that I could go to practice on my own? Yeah, there's Line of Action, Quick Poses, there's a few of them. But honestly, like, best way to do it is just go to Pinterest and maybe use like a timer on yourself and just go between different, just draw a different image at different intervals. The application I'm using is a $15 application called Gesture Drawing 3, which is available on QBrush.com. And it's well worth it. There's also a, there's an equivalent of it on, what's it? Another thing that you could probably use as a substitute if you don't have the money for gesture drawing is this app right here, which is called PureRef. Right here, PureRef. I'll bring it up on screen. So this one is free. What you can do with it is you can yoink images from the internet, like here, like it's showing here. Like you can yoink them from your browser or from your desktop, and you yoink them into here. Like let's see here, load. Like here's some anatomy sculpture stuff I yoinked from the internet, and so on. And I click one of these and I click space bar, and I can use the arrow keys to shift between them and stuff. I can export the entire thing as a folder, and this is how I often do it. Like when I'm gathering images like this, I'll have this on screen and a browser window next to it, and I'll just yoink, grab images. Like I think I can grab this. There, see? I grabbed the whole fucking GIF. It's in the page now. But you can also do stuff. You can overlay like transparency over your drawing app of the thing. You can do an always on top thing here also, so you can so you can draw faults on the app. Oh good, it actually is on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Nice. There is also a version of this kind of thing that I forget what it's called, like ImageRef or something like that. That's also available on iOS devices, which I've seen people who use Procreate use in conjunction with it, which is neat. That's cool. I didn't know. I know about the note thing. Let's see here. That's cool. You can add little text notes. I really should use I haven't really used these modes very much. I should probably try that in the future. Oh yeah, you can optimize the picture plane there. You can export this. You can like create mood boards like this for your reference, for example, and then you can like print out this whole page, or you can export the images into a folder. So how I've been doing is I yoink them from I yoink like figure posing from Pinterest or something, and then I like export them into a folder that I can use in the gesture drawing app. But yeah, gesture drawing 3 from QBrush. Here it is. Okay, Google, stop. This is the application I was talking about. It's on qbrush.com. Gesture drawing 3, $15, well worth it, and it's very customizable. And you can set it up with breaks and everything. I've been using it extensively. But anyway, PureRef right here, which is the other thing, is free. And if you don't have the gesture drawing app, you can use it like you have the timer, and then when the timer beeps, you just change to an image or whatever. You pick different things to focus on or whatever. Yeah. So our last session tonight, we're going to be doing the good old flour sack again. So get out your pencils, folks. We'll be doing flour sacks. So mix it up with invented flour sacks and flour sacks from the pose reference that's on screen. So without further ado, 25 minutes. Okay, Google, set timer 25 minutes.
All right, 25 minutes. Starting now.
All right, home stretch, folks. Let's make this a good one. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and thanks to the 2 people who lent their support today. Thanks for the pledge and the sub. And again, if you'd like to support me, you also get high quality images of my class demos and everything, including those slides that I've been showing, the guideline stuff. I mean, I'll be posting those for free too, in low quality versions, but also be posting high quality versions and the original like I'll be posting like a PSD file version of the Clip Studio file on my Patreon later. I'm really woefully behind on updating my Patreon right now. I think I think I've got to like spend some time later this evening getting on that. I'm gonna see if I can make sure that the demos I did tonight and this is paused. I'm done. Sorry about that. It's not a very good pose for a flower sack. Oh, there's a good one. But yeah, anytime I neglect a slide, just notify me. If you're in voice chat, for example, you can speak up and notify me. Okay. I'm pretty sure voice chat is enabled in the classroom right now. Like, you should be able to speak. Let me see. Permissions. Yeah, you should be able to speak with push to talk in here. So if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to speak up in the Discord.
Testing. Okay, it does work.
Yeah. I actually kind of want to encourage more banter in the future, especially for the animation class on Mondays, because we're going to be doing the group feedback critique. I'd like to hear from people, from input and feedback from other like aspiring animators, whatever, other class participants. Yeah, next week is going to be a critique of last week's homework for at least like an hour or hour and a half or so. Then we'll be going over some of the next lesson stuff that I'm going to be doing. Some of that is going to involve the flour sack. It's mainly going to involve like more of the Richard Williams class assignment stuff. But I'm going to work in the flour sack too, because the flour sack is really helpful. It'll be an evolution of what we did last week. It's a good time to kind of pose like this is a good time to kind of make some observations about how to find a center line of balance for a figure. How to make a figure look balanced. So this little tubby flour sack, its upper body's kind of flopping that way. I'm putting some more mass over that way. Maybe stick his bottom leg up like that. The issue is, like, with a flour sack, how do you tell what end is which? Like, this could be like a buff flour sack instead of a flour sack standing on its head, but I think there's some stuff we can push in the acting of the pose a bit to kind of make it more evident that this is a head, or equivalent of like a head or an upper body. He looks a little bit top heavy to the right. I'm going to add some more mass on the left. Maybe widen. Like this is I'm changing the pose a little bit from what's up there because I'm kind of experimenting with this. Actually, I kind of liked where it was before. But yeah, you'll encounter challenges like that trying to do these. That was an opportunity to try, like, messing with balance. Finding the center line and then trying to like figure out like how much mass you can put on one side versus the other. So this would be, what would this be? This would not be a squash, would it? This would be a stretch. So stretch out the flour sack. Flour sack is going to be a cartoon character that has a lot of squash and stretch to them. So when they stretch, they really stretch. I'm very much in favor of the idea of continuing torso week into next week. At least 2 weeks of focusing on the torso would be a good idea, I think. The torso is so much of an important driver of the rest of the figure. Especially for animation. The head is still like really important as a measuring tool, and we may get into using... we'll probably like use a little bit of the... touch a little bit on like using the head as a measuring unit for like the proportions of the torso and stuff. So we'll probably get into like adding like simple indications of the head that will keep up your head drawing practice to an extent, while also like linking up with the rest of what we're trying to do with like torso drawing and torso anatomy without like overcomplicating it. That's what I'm kind of strategizing about right now. Every week I'm trying to strategize different ways to practice, study, and learn, because I'm practicing, studying, and learning myself along with the rest of you here. Like, what you see me doing here live is also my time to get some practice drawing mileage in. Sometimes I mess up, sometimes my demos aren't so hot. Actually, a lot of times they're not so hot, because I'm still trying to get good. That's why I'm doing this, so like it gives everyone a little chance to get an art workout together. This is like an art group gym session, basically, for all of us. I'm also trying to teach what little knowledge, compared to like absolute masters I'm trying to learn from, trying to regurgitate the information I've been getting from the materials and the study stuff I've been going over with regarding them. Yeah, good old George Bridgman. I think we will definitely be having some good fun with good old George Bridgman on Friday this week for sure. He's a big important one. He's tough. He is so tough to get into unless you have somebody to show you what the fuck you're supposed to be looking at in him. So I'm gonna be giving you guys a chance to see how I break down Bridgman. But either this Friday, well, we're gonna go and we're gonna definitely get into Bridgman this Friday, but I think we should definitely like double down on doing a deep dive the following week into George Bridgman. That would be a good idea. Full invented sack there. Drawn a little bit large, but I think there should be enough room for like all these for this like 25-minute session we're working on. We got another really broad stretch here, so make a lot of room up here for that. Mind you, when you're doing a flower sack based on like a torso or figure, it's a riff. It's inherently going to be a riff. That's kind of what you're doing when you're converting a figure pose into a cartoon character model. It's a translation or a riff on what you're seeing.
Question.
Yes.
What's your favorite project that you've worked on professionally?
The one I worked on last year, which was Hair Love, the Oscar winning best short from last year. Everyone on the crew was very nice. I got paid well, and I learned a lot when I was on it. Unfortunately, I got really sick like right after that, so I couldn't work for almost a year. And that's why I'm teaching these classes here, because I'm crawling myself out of the illness ditch that I was in to re-enter the industry. I'm in pretty good shape now, so like it's actually pretty good timing that I just got approached by an executive producer to work on a project. So I got a job interview tomorrow. Haha. Should be pretty rad. And it's cool though, like, cause like I got like when I was like sick, and I would like when I started to come out of it, I tried to apply for gigs, but I just couldn't really follow through. and stuff. And I realized that, oh my god, I've lost my spark for drawing animation. Like I even after I got better, like I wasn't like, I wasn't able to get like back into the swing of things. Taking extreme liberties here with the legs on this flower sack. I think I might actually want to do this instead. I think this works better. But yeah, like I've been very lucky, very fortunate that I found a very safe, controlled environment to practice and study with Ethan Becker's YouTuber Ethan Becker's Discord, and then I wound up becoming a moderator and class leader there, basically. We started doing study sessions through the Discord, and it sort of extended into these class sessions that we now do here on Twitch. It's a way for me to get an artwork out and dispense free animation knowledge that I'm also trying to learn. So this is like almost kind of like I've enrolled myself in a class myself, where I'm putting in like the same kind of work I would for like a figure pose session in real life, while I'm also trying to teach. And that's good for me because like I'm not like in particularly great shape when it comes to drawing. Like I've got a lot more mileage and study, and I want to enroll in some real classes myself so I can get my chops up from learning from much better pros than me. But for the time being, and even when I'm working and stuff, I want to keep up these classes because these classes are going to become like my art gym secret weapon, even when I'm working or when I'm enrolled in other class pursuits elsewhere.
Well, I do really appreciate these classes that you're doing. They're helping me a lot.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Jangles tip jar expectantly. No. I mean, it's up to people whether they want a tip or not, because like I'm not really doing this for money, but tips do help. At some point, I want to make stuff that like people want to buy that I sell, but it's always great whenever people donate, because then I mainly use the donations right now for stuff that improves the classes. I'm trying to get like a working budget together of about $2,500 to fund stuff. Well, if I get that freelance gig, then that's going to take care of part of that for sure. Then the donations will wind up like offsetting personal cost from that. What kind of class are you looking to roll in? Animation and figure drawing and character design. Possibly storyboarding too. But like, if you look at like, I'll show some of the. After we get done here, let's look at some of the classes and let's look at some of the other stuff. Like, there's some ArtStation things I want to look at and share with you guys. There's some animation things I want to share after class. So stick around afterwards. We'll go over some of that stuff. I'll show you some of the classes that I recommend that I'm looking at enrolling in when I get some more finances together. The ones that I can definitely recommend. Yeah. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
7 minutes and 53 seconds remaining.
Nice. So how would I handle this? Maybe like a baking shovel or something, I don't know. Is it too much? More like this. There we go. That might make for a better silhouette. Some of the classes I'm looking at, like Brainstorm Academy, like TB Choi teaches there. I don't know if I'd be ready for the level that she teaches at, but there's other amazing artists at the Brainstorm Academy that, if not her, would be more suitable for the type of curriculum they teach. For getting me up to speed that I would be getting me better up to speed that I would be able to handle for character design class or whatever she's teaching. Yeah, we'll take a look at some of the classes that I recommend checking out. Could you send links to the stuff you're going to talk about after class to the Discord chat? It's almost 5 a.m. here. I'll probably doze off right after class. Well, I'm going to go right into it right after class. So, and I probably won't stop the stream right after it because I'm not going to be playing any copyrighted videos. So it'll also record after this. So you can watch the replay on either Twitch or YouTube later. And get it at the tail end. So I'll make sure that I don't restart the stream at the very end here when we go over class stuff. If I'm playing any kind of copyrighted videos or special videos or stuff, then I'm going to reset the stream, because the reason for that is, like, when I upload to YouTube, it makes it really easy to publish the video. And I'm incredibly lazy when it comes to making the YouTube videos presentable, so I just want to get them out there so I can concentrate on other things. Be great if I had an assistant that took care of that stuff for me, but yeah. If I did get an assistant for that, I'd want to pay them, I think. Somebody who has just enough graphic design expertise to put together that stuff for me after a class session. Just pay them a very whatever is a reasonable amount for making a proper thumbnail before the YouTube video uploads or is published. I don't know. I'm just a dad in space. What do I know? I'm a dad in space, but I will not dab in space. That's something I will not do. Unless you pay me a tremendous amount of space dollars. A little bit hard to cram in what I want to do on the page, that far in the corner of the page right here, but I'll just do this. I don't really have much room to really play with that arm. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer? I think this is the last one.
T-minus 2 minutes and 29 seconds.
Oh, this is the last one, actually. There's 3 poses. Let's see if I can get all 3 of them. Like, get a mini kind of thumbnail-sized version of them. These are very nice poses. Unfortunately, the image is very crunchy. These poses are like what I'd like to call animator reference bait. I got the first one. Let's see where I can stuff in. Yeah, that one be down here. It's interesting, like, you can kind of, like, you have to do a little bit of, like, kind of fudging where the dividing line is between, like, what is the knee and what is the foot or the leg of the flour sack. What could imply the head of this headless creature. Oh, that was it. But I'm not satisfied with that last one, so I'm going to be trying to do this one. This will be my last pose of the evening, I think. Okay, Google, stop. Slow opacity on this. I'm gonna try to get this looking like reasonably well like a cartoon character here. So in this case, like, the bottom part of the flour sack becomes part of the thigh a little bit. Very tricky. So maybe like that. If it's part of the thigh, it'd be looking more like this. It's a very tricky pose to kind of translate. Oh, I'm gonna go back to that. Very tricky. Very, very tricky. Interested in seeing if anyone handled that one better than me. And how. That one might warrant like a draw over on the pose itself. Well, in any case, we had a good session. Let's see here. I was going to show like the drawing courses I recommend. The drawing and animation classes I recommend online. Alright, so the main ones that I'm looking at right now is the Brainstorm School, which is doing online classes right now. Oh, they have a mentorship program, that's cool. Yeah. Pretty pricey though. 4,500 per term, woof. But yeah, I mean, like, So it'd be really, if you can pay for it, you'd get a lot out of something like that. Holy shit! But what I'm interested in is like not the mentorship, the classes. I'd probably take Foundation because like there's a lot of like basic stuff I struggle with that this would be a huge help with. I'm actually pretty good with animal drawing too, so be able to build on what I have for that for sure. I don't know if I'd specifically take him because like there's some specific things in mind if I did take a mentorship that I'd want. Like I'd want like an animator mentorship. Let's see here, but who's teaching this? Yeah, this is one that I'm interested in for sure. This is a She-Ra storyboard artist, among other things, like DreamWorks TV and other things. Storyboard artist here. Intro to character design. Is this TV Troy? No, Charles Lin. But TB Choi is one of the artists that I'm really interested in, who teaches here, and she also streams to Twitch. Is she teaching anything this semester though? Is the thing? Yeah, she is. She's teaching Character Design 1. But this is some of her work right here. She's really freaking amazing too. Like this is barely even scratching the surface of what she's. That other stuff wasn't by her, but this stuff that's on here is like barely even scratching the surface of what she's capable of. Is she teaching anything else other than that this semester? I don't know. Well, Andy Kung, he's, yeah, this is also good. Storyboarding versus story development. What is the difference between these two classes? But anyway, I recommend the Brainstorm school. So this is one of the main places I'm looking at. They also have like figure drawing classes. They're teaching these all online because of COVID. I think the classes are yeah, this one's $550. Oh, that's pretty affordable. So it's probably a shorter class week session. Most of their classes are about like 775 to 800 or so for about like 8 to 12 weeks or something. I don't know. Yeah, they're good. Let's see. There's also, let's see. Yeah. What was the other one? Studio Technique. There we go. Studio Technique, taught by Disney animators and stuff, and folks worked on some amazing shit. They are Canadian-based, and they do online private mentoring, figure drawing classes, animation courses, and stuff. They're really good. And they get recommended to me a lot whenever I ask animators about online classes to go for. Hey, look at that! The flour sack. You see? But yeah, if you go to my Monday course, you're gonna see me teach my own clumsy, amateurish teaching professor version of this kind of stuff that's going on here for my Monday class. But yeah, like they got that. There's let's see, what was the other places I recommend? Watts Atelier. They're way more illustrator and fine art oriented, I would say, but you can still get a lot out of them for fundamental stuff, but they're extremely good. Let's see their class schedule. Well, they already started their semester. It's like mid-semester right now. They actually do let people sign up sometimes for a discount after the semester started. But you'd want to contact them about that. They're extremely good. When I first learned how to draw, I attended these guys' brick and mortar classes. It was really good. I wish I'd stuck with them more because I could have really mastered it. But let's see. What's on the other sites? There's a really good. Concept Design Academy. This is the first formal classes. This is the place where the first formal classes that Ethan Becker took were at. One of our pals and one of my pals and one of the regulars on the Discord has taught a animation class there recently. Taniko Pantoja. Let's see here. What's the current schedule right now? Sadly, there's not really any visuals to go with these unless you click on them. That's cool. Spacedad for animation. Ooh, that's neat. And a political figure. Oh, Kevin Chen is. I keep getting recommended to all the time. He's really amazing. Let's see. Animation. Animation. Alan 1. That looks really cool. Let's see here. Doesn't look like there's any animation classes being taught this semester for fall. There's VizDev for animation, but there's not any animation classes. Toniko taught recently, but like Spencer Wan has taught there before too, which is pretty cool. Let's see. There's a few other places, but those are the main ones I recommend. I know. Oh yeah, Schoolism. Schoolism's got some stuff that's worth. They have. You can watch like streaming versions of their classes, but you can also get critique sessions with them. And the instructor. That's cool. Alex Wu's gesture drawing class would be really good. Expressive characters of Walter Tulp would be really good, I think. Steven Silver's would be good. Yeah. This is full right now. I've taken live classes with Steven Silver before, and he's freaking amazing. Yeah. It's good shit. Oh, also, here's an artist. Here's an artist that I like to geek out on. Sean Galloway, also known as Cheeks. He's got like this amazing kind of flowy, playful, cartoony style and stuff. He's got a lot of contemporary buddies that that also have styles that are kind of similarly flowy to him. But he's loads of fun. Oh yeah, I have this book. I got this at a con from him. That's cool. I hadn't seen this. His work's like really super playful and stuff. Like as I get better, I hope I eventually can get this level of like close to this level of competence just from the sheer effort I put in. But I mean, like I shouldn't beat up myself. I was sick for quite a while, and had been sick for years previously from a undiagnosed illness that was debilitating my life. So I'm kind of having to build myself up, and I shouldn't beat myself up about being a little bit behind. Just gotta take it step by step. And I should be proud of the fact that I got to work on an Oscar award-winning film. Now that my illness has been properly diagnosed and I'm getting proper treatment for it, I can concentrate and I can slowly build things up and get the artwork out so I've always needed at the right pace that I need them. That's really fun. But yeah, I mean, like the principles of what we're doing with the flour sack apply to this, just more complicated forms. Yeah, Grace Liu. Grace Liu is really rad. Grace Liu. Art. Here we go. Really flowy, dynamic, fun, expressive, really awesome and inspiring. I want to pay my art dues so I can draw this good and flowy. Like I don't want to like imitate them. I mean, well, I want to imitate them to learn from them, but I want to eventually like on my own terms, get this good. You know? That's really nice. I should definitely look at her more because, like, I kind of feel like I can kind of, like, feel more free with how I do stuff from looking at how she plays with shapes and figures. Like, she really lets attitude and posture drive everything. Might be a good idea for me to kind of emulate her approach to stuff, like even when I would do like kind of glowy cell shaded coloring to kind of make things look poppy and interesting. Might be a good idea for me to look at her for a while and kind of vibe with it. To just like kind of play with sort of the rhythmy approach to making expressive characters. It's cool though, like a lot of her designs, she really simplifies stuff. Like these character designs, their clothing kind of obscures any obscures like complicated anatomy, so that they just make it into flowy gestural shapes for those particular characters. Of course, like other drawings of these characters, she can, when she wants to, insert anatomy and stuff, and like more complicated actions and stuff. So she's not like shortcutting by any means. She's gotten better over the years too, so. Yeah, she's rad. Let's see here. Okay, so everyone, Friday will be another figured. Oh, I gotta update the class stream schedule because I don't have Saturday class anymore, and Monday is no longer head drawing. Monday is animation class. I've got to fix that image because that thing is wrong. Let's see here. Oh, that's interesting. So the pledge that was on my page just now, that was actually a $5 pledge from the one PFX was actually like the tracker that you're seeing on screen on my Twitch screen that says pledged. When it says pledged, that's a Patreon pledge. Yeah, you're welcome. Welcome to the class. We'll be wrapping up shortly. Anyway, I just wanted to do like quick shout-outs for anyone who donated in the last several minutes. I don't know if the Ko-fi page shows the donations, but... Oh, thank you. Thanks for the tier 1 sub. It's very nice. 5 emotes shared. Tepux has gift shared 5 rewards to 5 others in chat. That's cool. So 5 other people here should be able to use the emotes, I guess. It's interesting. Oh, they're gifting subs. Oh, that's neat. It's very cool. 5 emotes shared. Interesting. Let's find someone to raid. We got 31 people in here. Maybe I should find another cool artist for people to raid before I sign out for the evening. So I'm going to check on Twitch. Let's take a peek real quick. First off, let's see if there's anybody in my list that I'm currently following that's worth checking out. Let's check down near the bottom, like somebody who could use a little bit of a bump in viewership to raid real quick. Let's look for somebody doing art. Beauty and body art. Let's take a peek. Probably not. Oh, Megan Animation. Yeah, let's do it. Let's raid her. She's really freaking rad. I think you'd really like her. She's insanely talented. So, yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna do it. We'll do a raid now. So, Meg Animation. I've actually got to set it up so I can auto-host her because I've contacted her about how rad she is previously. Her and a couple other artists that are connected to her in the community who I want to start hosting. Let's see here. Your dashboard. Let's do a raid now. I'm clicking the raid. Pick a channel to raid. Do a raid mega animation. Awesome. So let's start the raid.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations!
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 Congratulations! Thank you all.